Hey everyone, it is Jay Soloff from Investors Alley, and this is our options trade of the week. This is not a trade recommendation from one of my services. This is a trade for educational purposes only, and it's certainly going to be educational today as we talk about AMC. So we are here at Market Chameleon looking at the unusual options volume page, and as you can see, AMC is up here doing crazy stuff, trading nearly six times what it regularly trades, almost 4 million options contracts, which is a crazy amount. Yesterday traded 4.5 million, so just crazy amount of options. There's hundreds of millions of shares are trading as well. It's basically been the talk of Wall Street this week. Yesterday AMC was up about 90 some percent. Today it was down about 20%. Obviously a crazy amount of volatility going on. So we'll look at we're going to look at it a little more closely here, but to start with, you could see it still looks like more calls trading close to 60-40 almost, so a little bit more bullish activity. A lot of the action has been in calls, as the whole reason that this thing has been going up. It's a meme stock, which means you have a lot of retail traders on Reddit and other social media type outlets that are, working in a somewhat concerted effort to try to push this thing higher and buying calls along the way. So doesn't surprise to see, it's not a big surprise to see more calls trading. Some of these other sort of meme stocks, BlackBerry is definitely seeing more, 80%. Workhorse has kind of been another one that's over 80%. So just a lot. It seems like the retail trader is gotten active this week, although as we'll see here with AMC, lots of block trades, and these are almost certainly done by institutions, particularly with the notional amounts here of 15 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. I mean, this stuff is not being done by retail traders, not with this kind of money involved. So definitely funds and institutions getting involved this time around. But I wanted to point out, look at the crazy range today. Basically 38 to 68. The 52-week range is about $2 to $72. So AMC has just been all over the place here, and it closed at about, it closed down about 18% here, and you can see about 18% down on the 51 range. So just a lot of action in general, but this, I'm going to show you a trade that's really interesting, again sort of for educational purposes only, not necessarily the sort of trade you could do at home because there's too much risk, but as an opportunity to show you what can be accomplished with options. This spread here, 145.68, so this is a spread, 68 145 call spread, which in itself is already pretty crazy with the stock at about 55. Buying 2100 of the 68s, selling 3150 of the 145s. And if you look at the notional amount, you can see this was done for even. It was done for zero cost. So first off, that means anywhere between 68 and 145 is going to be a winner on June 18th expiration, which is about 2 weeks away. Right? So you have this whole range that you get anywhere in there. If the stock finishes in there, it makes money because there is zero money spent on the trade. Anything below 68 is, there's no risk, outside of the commissions paid on this, because certainly commissions are something, but not a whole lot in terms of the notional amount of the trade. But so $0 spent on premium means anything below 68 is just a wash. The only risk here, and this is what makes it the sort of thing you can't do at home, is that because there's a 1,050 difference in calls sold over bought, that anything above 145 does have unlimited risk on the upside. About 1,000, so about 1,000 shares short, 1,050 to be exact. So everything above that could lose a lot of money. That being said, 145, it's significantly higher. It's about $100 higher from where it is. And that doesn't mean we saw what happened with GameStop. So it's certainly possible, and that's why you don't want to take a chance on this sort of thing, like at home basically. But if you're a fund, you can make that bet because you have other ways to hedge it if necessary. And you can see, the high is again 72, so 145. Certainly, while it's possible, it's not probable over the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, this huge range from 68 higher is all potential profit. So very interesting trade. Just kind of interesting to see that zero cost trade that gives you this huge range of possibilities for making money. And there were other spreads and ratio spreads and all kinds of crazy things going on, which are probably being done by institutions, where you're probably seeing your retail trader just buying some of these out of the money options. So let's look here, let's look at June 18th, 15 days away, and if we can probably go to some really far out of the money strike here. I think it went as high as 145. You can see 40,000 options traded there. So the one we were looking at, that was just 31.50, and having to spend, they were sold for much more than this, but having to spend $7 to $8 on a 145 call, it's not a huge surprise that they were sold, but still, there's risk there. You could see a lot more action up here. There's probably people just buying the 100 calls, but that's $1,000 trade. So it's an interesting stock trade. I see the appeal of selling this stuff because it's so expensive, but there's also a lot of risk. As you can see, when something goes up 100% in one day, then there's a reason why this stuff is priced so high. So again, this is more educational. There's not necessarily any trade recommendation here that I have. It's more of just a way to kind of look and see what happens in options when things get crazy. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these meme stocks. And we do call and put trades in Option Floor Trader Pro, which is my service. There's a link on this page. We generally don't do stuff in something like AMC just because it can be so ridiculously expensive. That being said, there are some of the other names that have been active that we will take a flyer on every now and then, and can be interesting to see what happens when one of these stocks gets picked up by the retail sites and starts going crazy. So, all right, everyone, have a great week, and we will be back next week with more.